The ones I seen, it's like we are so.
You never saw the Band of Brothers?
No, not yet. I mean,
that was the HBO. That was the HBO series they did back in the day with Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg or whatever. That was real popular.
Yeah.
We were soldiers is really good.
Yeah, that one's good. Platoon I seen. That's a really good one.
We're gonna do We Were Soldiers. I was gonna do it next month, but maybe we'll just do it on Friday instead of Justice League.
Yeah. Well, just wait if we have a guest coming for Justice League.
You know what? I do have a guest coming for Justice League, Alan.
Okay. So let's do that. You know, if we have a guest, we can do that. Like, you know.
Yeah, I want to do We Were Soldiers though. It's good. It's a really good movie.
It's a really good one.
Good Mel Gibson film. Hey folks, what's up? MCU'S Bleeding Edge YouTube channel podcast. Cyberneticshark, my co-host, fucking hates it when I do these straight openings of the show where I don't play an intro and all that kind of stuff. But I don't give a fuck because who really cares at the end of the day? You know what I'm saying, Andres? Like seriously, it's all good. You know, we could just be talking about Justice League or whatever. You know what I mean? Like having a conversation and just you know, start the show. You know, like right from that. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Yeah.
I mean, our personal conversations are entertaining.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, yeah. I mean, first, we have a good opening and ending for us, so I don't know what's the big deal. I mean, I don't do titles and end credits at all.
We got to enjoy our time before Cyber shows up because we don't now that we don't get to do the show just on our own anymore. I miss that Andres and Jeff time that we used to get. You know?
That's true. I mean, it's crazy. It's like now that Monday.
I thought about it. We covered a lot of really cool stuff in 2024. You know, like what I really thought. Once I thought about it for a minute, you know, like we did a lot of fun content. We covered a lot of fun stuff over the course of the year. And we did some good TV shows that were pretty solid. You know. And you know, I almost forgot about X-Men 97. X-Men 97 was awesome. You know,
I've
got to rewatch it. I have to rewatch that because it's really good.
Yeah, it's really good. Shogun is really good too. That was a fun review to do.
Oh yeah, Shogun was the best of the. That was the best out of everything we did all year. That was number one.
Yeah. It was really
that was like every episode was just really good, you know, to watch, you know what I mean, and talk about, you know. We had good people on, we had good people coming on during the series, you know, to talk about the shows. There was lots of good humor, you know.
Yeah, Michael B. George and
Shaquille O'Neal, Scottie Pippen. Sarin was trying to tell me that Fallout Season 2 came out in 2025. This year, and like I didn't say anything to her. I didn't disagree with her. I was like, "Are you sure?" Because I know for a fact it doesn't come out until next year. Like they didn't already film the second season of Fallout. You know?
Yeah. So they're currently on the process. Like if you check on Walton Gotton's Instagram, he has a picture where he was putting back the makeup. So they're in the process of shooting, but like. It's gonna be a while, you know. It's like it's gonna be.
When a production company is going to do something interesting or rare, like, you know, shoot 3 movies at the same time, like Lord of the Rings or something like that. You know what I mean, or whatever. You know, like that kind of deal. They tell people ahead of time. You know, ahead of time that's what's happening. You know what I'm saying? Like you would know it. You would know it if Fallout decided to shoot their first 2 seasons. They would have said so, you know. So I don't know what Sarin was talking about. I thought there was another show called Fallout or something like that, you know.
But, my God, yeah.
Anyways, folks. So we are going to talk about the Green Mile. You know, anytime, at any given time here, me and Andre's a pop culture guy. Channel presents, of course. But we're waiting for Cyberneticshark to come over. Who knows? Maybe he might not even show up. You never know. Cyber's a pretty reliable guy, but who knows what he could have got into, you know?
I think the aliens took him.
He's probably still watching. He's probably still watching the Green Mile.
Yeah. What Well, so you text me about what around 8 or 7 or something like that, right? To tell us we're gonna do at 10. There's no way he can finish that movie on time, right? I just like I it's such a long movie. I just can't believe it, you know.
I told Cyber we're live. I let him know.
Yeah,
I addressed it and let him know that we're hanging out here waiting for his ass. You know,
yeah,
he's slowing down the production, folks. Damn, you know,
yeah,
I was gonna shave before the show tonight, and I forgot. I'm looking pretty rough. I'm looking pretty
yeah, yeah. You got a little like a little scruffle.
I'm
There.
I'm looking pretty hairy there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's okay though. That's all right.
yeah, yeah. That's okay.
I'll take care of it. But
Yeah,
yeah, The Green Mile is a long movie. It's like 189 minutes long.
yeah. It's very long. Yeah.
Yeah. I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, holy fuck. When I went to put it on at like 7:30 to watch it, I was like, holy fuck. It's at 189 minutes or whatever. 169 minutes. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, holy shit. That's like 3 hours.
Yeah, I know. 3 hours, like literally, like the length of the Lord of the Rings films. You know, it's like that long.
That's crazy. You would never think that The Green Mile was 3 hours long.
Yeah, I, yeah, it's a very great film. I know parts of the film. I mean, like everyone knows about like the ending. The whole like the prisoner like breathes back life. It's like I seen bits of the film, but like I never had the time to like sit down and like see the whole film. And like this today, I'm like, wow! Like I saw the film, just I had to rent it. Yeah, 7:30 or 7. Like I was trying to see it, and then I was like, oh my god, it's so long. It's like I just can't believe it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can't. So you never had seen it before at all in the past?
Um, so my experience to the film, I've seen the film. I see bits of the film. I never saw the film full, like the full
Yeah,
3 hour. Yeah, so like I know bits in my memory about the film. So like I know the ending. Like you and I discussed it before we did the live stream. Now, so I know the ending. I know about the wife. I seen that scene. I've seen the mouse so many times. The mouse section, and
Cyber,
yeah,
Cyber, you're here. Andre didn't get a chance to finish watching the movie, and neither did I. This might have been a good night to take a night off. To be completely honest with you, but here we are now. We're here, folks. So, we don't start MCU's Bleeding Edge movie reviews and then just end them. You know what I'm saying? So we do them. Yeah, I'm just a pop culture guy, and I both did not remember that The Green Mile is fucking 3 hours and plus minutes long or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Fucking long, dude.
That's hilarious. You guys thought it was that
I've
short.
seen it before. I've seen it before, so I'm good. Like I didn't need to see the ending or any of that shit. It's all depressing as fuck anyway. You know what I'm saying? So like I didn't even need to see it again. You know what I mean? I'm a pop culture guy. You should do like that guy Freddie from the Black Lane Collective podcast where Alan comes from, where he just watched the Moon Knight episode we were reviewing that one time. If I remember, he was watching it on the show, like simultaneously while we were doing the show. He was watching it. It was interesting.
Yep, that was hilarious. I mean,
Cyber,
sometimes it works good.
We were just running through while we were chewing the fat and killing time waiting for you. We were just running through our 2024 highlights. Now that we had some time to think about it a little bit and whatnot. Some of the shows we enjoyed and the stuff that we covered that was fun and all that. We covered a lot of good stuff. We had a good year. I think a lot of other creators would be pretty happy overall if their content over the span of 2024 consisted of the quality of and the diversity of like films and stuff like that, animated films that we reviewed and stuff like that, and then all the different TV series that we covered. we've evolved to the point now where we basically just consume and watch movies and TV and discuss them, and we're no longer just MCU to the point where we're crossing right across every possible line amongst different TV series and what we're talking about. And I find that enjoyable. I think we had a pretty solid year.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. I thought it felt like the other 2 years that we've been doing it. Since 2021. I think the only thing that really differs is that, like you just said, we've gone in a different direction. That's not just the MCU. So, unfortunately, we didn't have much MCU last year, so we couldn't really talk much about it. So, thankfully, because we went in that direction, we decided to do other stuff that, that encompassed what we could add to the show to give people more things to watch other than MCU content. So, yeah, I mean, last year was fantastic. We had a lot of great stuff that we covered. And I think definitely we had a few better shows last year than we did in 2023, and definitely in 2022 and 2021. So, I mean, I think that, it was a really solid year.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that in general, you're right. From year to year to year, it's pretty much all the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It really isn't all that different. Just the different content and the different the varying content that we're doing now. We both talked about Shogun, Cyber. Did you when you look back, did you enjoy doing Shogun? Was that your number one for the year? Because it was for me.
It wasn't my number one for the year, but it was enjoyable to do. They did a good job with it. There was a lot of great things to the show, and it was a lot of information to cover in those episodes that they provided. So, I think that it had a lot of great sequences that were really well done. I thought the storytelling was really done well. The whole thought process was done really well. It was a really great show. But I wouldn't say it was my number one of the year, but it was definitely good.
Well, Andre's number one was Fallout.
I actually I want to update that. It's the Penguin. I think the Penguin.
Oh, what a shock! What a shock, Cyber. He's gonna update his number one from what it was fucking like the last time you told me or whatever. Last week or whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah, sure. No, it wasn't last week. You get out of here.
You told me like fucking 27 different times, and of course, across the last 6 months that you loved Fallout. That was your favorite fucking thing we did.
Yeah. But you have to remember, first thing, I'm a Batman fan, and I'm a comic fan, and I was a huge the Batman movie fan. So the Penguin was the perfect show. It delivered. I thought it was the greatest show of 2024, but I mean, again, it cannot be Shogun in terms of quality and all that. So, yeah.
No, I don't think the Penguin is a different kind of TV show than Shogun. But I think Shogun was more epic than the Penguin was. The Penguin was more laid back.
Yeah. I mean, it's more like it was a crime drama, so it was like okay, like a laid back, like if you've seen The Sopranos or other crime shows, it was like that, and it was a great one.
I'm surprised. Doom Prophecy surprised me. It exceeded my expectations.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys, but I felt like it exceeded what I thought it would be. I thought it was better than what I thought it would actually end up coming out being.
I was surprised too. It's not for me. It's not a top tier 2024 show, but it was very good. It continued the strength of what I like about the Doom movies that we review in this channel. I just kind of wish we had more episodes to like develop more characters because that finale was so much. And I kind of wish we had more episodes.
What did you think, Cyber? Did you think that I was like at least somewhat like on the mark when I said in the group chat or whatever that the finale was kind of like the worst episode of the series almost?
Like I had mentioned when we reviewed it, it would have been nice if they had split it into 2 episodes. It would have made it more cohesive and easier to understand. Because I know a lot, like you kept mentioning how you had a hard time understanding some of it because of how much was impacted into that one episode. So yeah, I believe I remember saying in that final review that it could have done better if they had split that last episode up into 2 episodes to get everything across and make it more cohesive and better. And yes, I definitely think that the finale was the weakest of the episodes. So I do agree there. But overall, the series was so fantastic that that didn't really hinder the series for me at all. So I think Dune Prophecy was the number one for 2024.
No, but you were more critical, I think, during that episode of any of the other episodes that we reviewed, the finale. You had more critical things to say during that review. You know what I noticed. Just to throw that out there. But that's interesting that you would pick that that Dune Prophecy as your number one. I thought it was really good. Like I said, it surpassed my expectations. And Andre's pop culture guy. Look, I know not that I don't watch all the different TV shows that are out there that are good. Maybe you watch a lot more than I do, but Dune Prophecy doesn't even make the list of like top shows of 2024. What list are you talking about?
Oh man, I mean, well, I haven't seen all. I'm just kind of hold on. I had to figure out the list, but it could be 6 or 5.
What major shows did we not cover? Did we not watch? There was the Bear. We didn't do the Bear.
No, we didn't do that. Oh, House of the Dragon. Like, I know season 2 wasn't good as the first season, but I did like that season. I because that had more.
Don't get started on that. Don't get started on House of the Dragon. Andre's pop culture guy, Time Cop, because Cyber will not like it. Cyber does not like House of the Dragon. Okay?
Well, okay. Well, look, I'm just bringing it up. That's it. I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm just
Cyber
saying.
Doesn't even like to hear about it. He doesn't even like to hear about the show.
Yeah. Well. Look, he has his opinion. And that's fine. He can talk about it. Oh, The Walking Dead, The Return. The Ones Who Live. That was my another one that I did like. So it's in my list. I'm just looking at it.
Rick and Michelle was good. That was good.
Yeah, Africa. I know you're mixed on that.
I got into a fight on X with this crazy bitch on X that was fucking that this racist crazy bitch. She's like, I know you're white, you colonizer, and all this shit. Because I said Agatha sucks. I was like, Agatha sucked. You know what I'm saying? It was garbage. She's like, You're a liar. She's like, you're a liar. She's like, you can say that it was bad, you didn't like it or whatever, and all this stuff or whatever. But Agatha was a top-rated MCU show and all this stuff or whatever, and that you're a liar and all this shit. She was going off on me.
Really?
She did not like it. She called me a homophobe. It was like She-Hulk all over again. I was like, look, I'm sure there's probably stuff I like and you like and the same stuff, whatever, you know what I mean? It's your opinion, my opinion. I didn't like Agatha. You liked it. Whatever. She's like, just because you're a fucking homophobe and you hate gay people, all this shit. I'm like, come on, bro. Come on. I can't stand that shit. I'm sorry, folks. I told the person, I'm like, you literally are the worst part of the MCU fandom, people like you. Like, that take this stuff so seriously, that you're actually, like, mentioning my race and all this shit. Fucking crazy people, bro. I'm telling you. Anyways, so, Cyber, I will throw over to you, sir, so we can actually talk about the Green Mile, sir, since that is the title of the live stream.
Yes, sir. All right, folks. So, yes, we're here to talk about the 1999 classic, The Green Mile, directed by Frank Darabont, who has also directed a few other Stephen King adaptations. This, of course, is a Stephen King adaptation from his 1996 novel, the same name, The Green Mile. Of course, it stars Tom Hanks, David Morris, Bonnie Hunt, Michael Clark Duncan in the titular role of John Coffey, James Cromwell, Michael Jeter, Graham Greene, Doug Hutchinson, Sam Rockwell, Barry Pepper, Jeffrey D. Munn, Patricia Clarkson, and Harry Dean Stanton. So if you're familiar at all with this, it's got kind of a supernatural element to it, and it's one of those films that, for how long of a film it is, it can be a little tedious, but at the same time, I think that what they get across is quite amazing. And even Stephen King himself has said that this is one of the most accurate of all the films that have been made of his work. That was the closest to the source material. So I think that's pretty impressive. So this was released December 10th of 1999, coming in at 3 hours and 9 minutes long. It had a $60 million budget, and it ended up taking in $286.8 million at the box office in 99. That's pretty impressive on a $60 million budget. So I think that it was a huge success. It got nominated for several awards, academies. It got Saturn Awards. It was nominated for Golden Globes, all that kind of stuff. Fortunately, in the Academy department, it did not take home any of it, but it definitely should have, because Michael Clark Duncan was amazing as John Coffey. And to this day, I still think this is one of his best roles. So going off of that, basically kind of, this movie going on to being 26 years old, of what you did watch, gentlemen, how do you feel it looks being almost 30 years old? Do you think it's still, the quality of the film still looks pretty decent? Starting with you, Andres?
Hell yes.
I thought it was going to me. I thought it was going to go to me, didn't you?
I mean, he say Andreas, sir. What the hell is about it?
Fuck you! I know he said Andreas, motherfucker. I'm not the one who has a problem with actually being able to understand those names or whatever. I know that.
Okay. What's your name? TrueKnowledge, sir. Okay, sure thing. Anyway, so what is it? 26 years. This film holds up very well. I love this movie when I was growing up. It's one of the best Stephen King films of all time. Was a fully adapted, Stephen King novel that Frank Darabont has to do. Because remember, Shawshank Redemption was like a short novella, so it was a very easy adaptation for that version. And so for this one, this is the toughest he has to do, and especially it involves supernatural. It's another prison, movie, So, but it holds its own in a way that any strong Stephen King should be, and follow as an example. So I really enjoyed this, and I agree with you, Saber. Michael Clark Duncan, great actor. I very miss him. He's a fantastic actor when he was still alive. I think he should have won the supporting actor for this back in 1990. Yeah, and I was very happy it did perform well, because a lot of people forget that Shawshank didn't do well. And so because of Shawshank, people knew about Shawshank. They knew, oh, this is, Frank Darabont is going to direct another Stephen King novel. And I think everyone was aware of this film. And so it was really great that it performed as well it did. And so I'm very happy it got the box office success and the Academy Awards. At least it got a decent amount, which is good. For Best Picture, I'm very happy it got Best Picture. But I wish it won, at least one. I mean, come on. But yeah, I still love it today. It still holds up. Yes, it's very long, but look, we've seen long movies before. I mean, Godfather, the Lawrence of Arabia, so many long movies, and they're still great. And I think this movie is still great.
Okay. Jeff, how do you feel about that, sir? Do you think it still holds up being almost 30 years old?
Yeah, I mean, as far as how it looks like, obviously this is not the kind of film where we would really have a really big discussion about visual effects or anything like that much, really, other than the fact that there is some of that supernatural stuff that they throw in there, here and there in the film, which is all handled very practically, you know what I mean? Which fits the style of the film, it being set in the 1940s or 30s or
1935.
1935. Yeah, great era, to set the film in. Yeah, I mean, everything looks like what you would expect, pre-World War II to look like in America, you know, and like this, you know, or whatever, you know, a small town, you know, that everything looks how it should look, you know, and I mean, as far as like, you know, watching it on the TV, like, you know, I thought it popped and everything, and visually it looked good, and it was well shot, well lit, you know, again, it's a very stationary film, you know, it doesn't jump from a lot of location to location a lot, you know what I mean? You know, it's very dialogue and character centric, you know, with the penitentiary, the Green Mile being like the main, you know, the main locations that where you really see them spending their time. So, yeah, I mean, for authenticity, like, you know, again, I'm no expert, of course, like in any way, shape, or form. But as far as authenticity goes, you know, as a layman, what you would expect the houses to look like, you know, the jail to look like, you know, the cells to look like, the costumes on the prisoners, the outfits on the officers, and all that kind of stuff. It all looks totally authentic. You know, and you know, I mean, I don't know what Tom Hanks' overall role was in the film, if he did anything other than just act or not. But he's known for, you know, delivering, you know, in multiple capacities of production, right? You know, really authentic, you know, really well done quality film, you know, quality films and TV series, you know, like Band of Brothers, for instance, he did, you know, that was great. So, I mean, who directed this again?
Frank Darabont.
Okay, Frank Darabont. Okay, yeah, you know, it holds up. I think that honestly, I always like to go to that meter or that place, that space where I'm like, I wonder what a young kid would think in, you know, in 2025 now, you know, if they watched this movie, if we could, you know, if we could pay them $10 to sit down and watch The Green Mile, right? If you could sit 5 teenagers down or whatever. And I honestly think that a lot of younger people probably, if you got, you know, could get them interested and sit them down to watch it, would probably really enjoy the film to this day. It does hold up because it has it's based on a very wholesome story, you know, that's very sad and emotional, but has a lot of virtue to it, you know, and a lot of like really, you know, positive, you know, like themes, you know, and I think that overall, you just don't really see movies being made of this type, this sort that much anymore, you know. I don't know what you want to, you know, quantify this movie as, but I just don't. I don't feel like you really see a lot of people out there really pushing to make things like this right now.
100%. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, a lot of these types of films, people want to make films that are like this, but completely make it how they want to make it. They don't actually give you any reality to it. So, I think that, you know, these types of eras of films, you know, especially made in the late 90s, early 90s, early 2000s, that you really don't see many of them anymore. And it's too bad because a lot of these are really good. Now, Frank Darabont also directed Shawshank, and then also directed The Mist. So, I mean, in that span of time from 94 to 2008, he made 3 Stephen King films that were all very well received. And, you know, Shawshank being, you know, his first kind of predecessor to The Green Mile, it was kind of interesting only 4 years later, or 5 years later, sorry, that we got another prison type of film, like you were saying. And I think that it still resonated Shawshank with a lot of people. So, you know, I think that people felt that connection to Shawshank into this film. I think that's one of the reasons why this movie did so well in '99. But
Tom
yeah,
Tom Hanks was red hot back then too.
yes, he was. He was very popular at this time. You know, coming off of Philadelphia in '93 and Forrest Gump in '94, and then, you know, a year after he made this, he did Castaway. and so he was very popular this time. So yeah, that was a big draw, and I'm sure for a lot of people at that time. But really, the breakout star, I feel is definitely Michael Clark Duncan in this. He really showed that he has really great acting chops, that he did. And it's too bad that, he only, lived another, 12 years after this, 13 years after this, unfortunately, and died so young, because he was a fantastic actor. I really enjoyed him pretty much in anything he was ever in. And this role, most definitely, I think goes down in history as his greatest role ever. So the fact that he brought John Coffey to life from that book, because some people don't realize actually Shaquille O'Neal was actually asked to play this character.
Oh my God! Oh my Lord! That would have been a spectacle.
Yeah, and thankfully he decided he declined.
Could you imagine that if your hero Shaquille O'Neal would have been in the movie?
Oh my God, I can't believe I'm hearing this today. It could have been the worst thing ever.
Shaq Fu himself. Shaq Fu.
Yeah, Shaq Fu. Yeah.
So thankfully, we can all thank Bruce Willis, because he's the one that recommended Frank Darabont to check out Michael Clark Duncan for the role. So thankfully, Bruce Willis saved the film and didn't get Shaq in the film. So
whoever wanted to go with Shaq must have been like going to too many Diddy parties or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And doing that pink cocaine or some shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, bro.
Maybe.
I mean, I'm telling you right now, if Shaq had been in that fucking movie, bro, we would be having a goddamn fucking laugh fest over this shit right now. Okay?
Because they have two.
Just the fact, I mean, I'm actually kind of fucked up now that you actually, and like, we know about that. Now that you put that out there, I'm kind of fucked up now knowing that. Like, I want to imagine what seeing 5 minutes of the Shaq version would be like.
You should contact Shaq and ask him to do a little bit for you.
Would you pay $10 to see 5 minutes of Shaq in the Green Mile?
I would, yeah. I would like to see that. I would pay him $5 to do 5 minutes of one of John Coffey's scenes. Most definitely, I would like to see that. Maybe have him do it. Have him do it like his character from Steel.
And Shaq would win the Oscar too. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
He'd get the Oscar because he's Shaq.
Yep. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit. I was like, when I was reading that, I was like, really? They were considering him? I'm like, what? I'm like, nah. That was just kind of an interesting like thought process there with that. And I was like, okay, that's interesting.
Oh my God. What if we're doing what if, folks? What if Shaq was in the Green Mile? Oh Lord, Cyber.
Also, I think another interesting thing was Josh Brolin was also considered for a role in this film, of Sam Rockwell's character, Wild Bill. So I think that would have been a way different interpretation of Wild Bill too if they had gone with him, because I thought Sam Rockwell did a great job playing that character, that like crazy wild type of person. He did a great job, and I can't picture anybody else playing that character.
I could have seen Brolin playing that character. He's got that when you first that's who I first thought of when you mentioned his name.
Wild Bill made you think of Josh Brolin.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Interesting.
I could see him playing that crazy, criminal, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying, asshole type character like that. I could see him pull that off, especially when he was younger,
Yeah.
He could have done an okay job. I don't think he would have done as good as Sam Rockwell did. Because Sam Rockwell is just kind of has that kind of energy, I feel, that Josh Brolin doesn't have. Like, Josh Brolin's a little more centered, I feel. But like you're saying, at that time, maybe at that time he would have done a little better. I mean, compared to his characters in Night Watch at, around that same time, Mimic, Mod Squad. I mean, all of those movies, like, he kind of had kind of a little bit of a crazy kind of streak. He was the bad guy in Shaft. So I think that, they did a good job. He could have maybe done a job, but I still think Sam Rockwell is the better choice. for that role, and he did an amazing job, I thought. So, getting into the actual film. So basically, the movie starts off. It's supposed to be 1999 at the time, and retiree Paul Edgecombe is sitting down watching the film Top Hat and starts crying and says he has to, he can't be here for this and has to walk away. And so then he explains to his companion Elaine that it reminds him of an event he witnessed when he was an officer at Cold Mountain Penitentiary, death row, called the Green Mile. So then basically after he starts telling his story, we go back to 1935, where Paul is a supervisor of corrections of officers Brutus Brutal Howell, Dean Stanton, Harry Terwigler, and Percy Wetmore. We're introduced kind of briefly to each character a little bit. We end up starting to find out that Percy is sadistic and flaunts his family connections to the state governor to avoid punishment, as we see kind of in those beginning scenes. We end up, seeing him. He right off the get-go, he ends up breaking one of the prisoners' fingers, named Edouard Delacroix, and ends up, unfortunately, killing his mouse as well, Mr. Jingles. So I don't get why they wrote it like this. So basically, this is going,
sir, I think maybe Shaq edited the script.
Maybe. Anyways, so during this foray here, we in between them meeting the prisoners and the prison guards, this is where we get the kind of the showcasing of John Coffey, kind of what's going on, these girls being found dead, and basically him being arrested and put on trial. And so during kind of this introduction to the prison guards and the people that are on death row, that's when John Coffey gets brought to the death row. And so when he arrives, he's a physically imposing but gentle black man sentenced to death for the rape and murder of 2 little white girls. And we get introduced to John. Tom Hanks' character Pete, it kind of starts talking to a little bit, tell him kind of how things work there on death row, and you can see right off the bat Pete is kind of seeing how this guy could be a murderer because of how he asks about, does the lights get turned off at night when we sleep, because he's a little afraid of the dark, and you can kind of see him kind of taken back by that there when he's asking him and that question and stuff like that. And you get kind of a very interesting little take there, and that's kind of the introduction to John Coffey entering the death row. So before we go any further than that, what are you guys' thoughts on kind of on that introduction of the guards, the prisoners, John himself, kind of that opening montage of John in 1999, or Pete in 1999, and kind of your overall thoughts of kind of like the kind of the whole situation that leads John to being on death row as well there, right off the get-go. What are you guys' thoughts on that section of the film? I'll start with you, Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about the whole, like, the deal where the characters are all old, the old folks home or whatever and all that. It's cute and all that, I guess, you know what I'm saying, but like, I don't know, man, whatever. It's not like, super pertinent overall when it comes to the Green Mile. It's interesting as an intro that they do have that added layer of the fact that they have the the start of the story, basically with coming from one time period, then flashing back to another for the bulk of the main story. It's interesting. It's inventive. You know what I mean? But it's also the same exact thing as Saving Private Ryan. you know? So, like, that's the same fucking thing they did. You know what I mean? And didn't Saving Private Ryan come out the same year as this movie?
Year before.
Oh, okay. All right. So, anyways, yeah, the intro is pretty good. They did a really good job, you know, for that time period. The casting is really good. You know, there's a lot of really, if you sat and looked at them, you know, known commodity actors, you know, and actresses in the film playing secondary characters, you know, that if you've seen movies from the 90s and early 2000s, you know, you've seen before in other films. You see these faces, and you know these voices. You've heard these voices. So yeah, they do a really good job of establishing the entire aspect of the penitentiary and the Green Mile part right from jump. You know, they establish it, and you know, you know, explain it essentially almost in a way, if you could use that word, you know, give you enough right off the bat in the intro to kind of have a, you know, get the vibe for sort of what's going down there, you know, the fact that, you know, this is death row and all that, right? The well, you know, when you talk about the performance that Michael Clark Duncan plays, you know, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to look at the list and see what the competition was for the Oscars and the Golden Globes for that period, right? To like actually, you know, evaluate that whole thing really over, you know, overall. But you know, he certainly played a difficult character. You know, you can't not feel like you know, some tug on your heartstrings sort of feelings and moments and things like that, just off the vibe of how they depict the black prisoners working out in the field and shit like that to start. And then you go to John Coffey, and he is just like so submissive, you know, and so innocent, and so like you know, scared and like damaged looking and everything, you know, and sad looking. And at the same time, he's like you know, practically so uneducated that he's like, you know, slightly retarded almost, they think, you know. So like that's fucking depressing. That's depressing too. You know what I mean? When you think about it, you know, this poor fucking guy walking around by himself in the Great Depression and shit, you know, trying to fend for himself. You know, it's fucking sad. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, so I can't imagine that it was easy to play the character, you know, to the degree he did, you know, with just, you know, the emotion that he gave off, even right off the bat, in his facial expressions and everything, you know, his dynamic with the guards, with Tom Hanks, which I think is probably one of the most pivotal aspects of the film, obviously, right, is that arc, their relationship, the two of them. You know, it's really crucial, you know. And so it's set up really well in the beginning, you know, with their first meeting. I like how it goes down, you know. And the character that Tom Hanks plays is very likable, you know. And so are the other guards, other than the one asshole that obviously they want to be a complete fucking asshole, and they make that clear right from jump too. It's a very well set up, you know, solid intro that lays out really what the core, you know, themes are of the film right off the jump, you know, and then the gaps are filled in, but they throw it right out there, you know. It's pretty simple.
Excellent, thank you. And also sometimes it's like this.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
You know, just like that. You know, sometimes it's like that. But anyways,
could you imagine actually working at a prison or some shit, right? And like going into a fucking cell with a black dude that big by yourself or whatever? You know what I'm saying? Like, holy fuck, bro. I'd be like, I don't know about that shit.
It'd be crazy. Anyways, Andres, your thoughts on the beginning of the film, sir?
Oh yeah. Beginning sets up everything in terms of tone and characters. Or you're gonna come to care and love. I remember I was kind of I didn't remember the beginning part when we see the older Paul, which we don't know yet about, like, there's a twist with this opening, which we'll get into to the ending, because I remember that and I was like, whoa, okay. So seeing that part is, it's really cool. It's like Captain America First Adventure, where we see the present day and like we go back to the past to kind of fill in the gap.
Only you, Andre, the pop culture guy, would fucking connect Captain America, the First Avenger, to the Green Mile, sir. Good job.
Hey, I thought it was a good way to start 2025. Bam! Got MCU Bleach style here. Anyway, we're getting a new Captain America movie in, in 1 month, in February. So, hey, we need to pump our Captain America spirit. So, so so we get into the prison. We see Tom Hanks. He's having some pee problem. I guess he has some illness right now to his crotch, and that's a recurring thing in the beginning, right? And then
Bladder infection.
Bladder infection. Thank you. If you have that problem, it's really painful, right? And then we get the introduction of Michael Clark Duncan's character, who's I mean, he is a big guy. I mean, they comment on that, and that's
you should try crabs. You know what I'm saying? Try crabs and see what that's like. I mean, I've never had it before, but I can imagine it's gotta be fucked up, bro.
Yeah, well, thankfully, in the time future I'm in, 2099, we have a special drug that we could take, and we'll be fine for the next.
I mean, can you imagine if you had crabs and there was like little crabs crawl on your dick and balls, shit like that?
No, I don't want to think about that, sir. Thank you, Xavier. I think we need that because we're going down here now. Yes. So yeah, we have our Tom Hanks character here, Paul, just having this problem with his cramps, whatever, this bladder infection, and this beginning, you're slowly getting into the supernatural thing, and obviously, we get into the whole douchey guard. What is it, Percy, who's really bad. I always hated him. I mean, not a big spoiler. You've seen the Green Mile, of course. He stumps the mouse, which I always hated when I saw that film. Every time I see that scene, it's like, oh my god, I hate this guy.
Oh man, you just fucked up the whole layout of Cyber's moderation now for the rest of the show.
I'm just
talking about that scene that's way later.
Well, yeah, but people know about that scene. Like everyone, that's the one scene that pissing me off, Percy.
Are you serious, Andres? People out there actually have watched the movie before and know that occurs later on? Okay,
hey,
sir.
I mean, they know about that scene. I mean, later when we get into it, I mean, there's another thing he did that is stupid, but I hate. But we'll get into that. But yeah, so we get into that. He's that he's that dirty guy with the connections. Of course, he has all the power behind him, right? And it's cool how Paul and his people, the Green Mile, handle this this like centric character that like has this like power, right? Which he doesn't have power at all, like he's just yeah, he has connections, but it doesn't mean he runs the show. So it's very interesting how those guys handle this newbie in the Green Mile section of the prison. And then you get into Clark's character, John. At first you see him, he's this like very intimidated big guy, right? But then later on you see he's like a nice person. He has he's pretty much the most civil person in that cell. Yeah, other interesting thing, it's cool to see like another like we see our first execution with that Indian guy. That was a really cool scene. Very sad. We see the how they execute these people back in the day. Because execution now is very different. Now we use chemicals. Poison, like needles to like sometimes they inject them. I don't know. We do electrocution. It depends on what state we're in. I guess
they still do it.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. Like, yeah, we still do it, but like
I think Texas still has it.
Okay. Yeah, so but back then, this was usually the norm, right? We do execution. So I think the beginning is a really good setup for the full film, and you get to know the characters well. And we're not there yet with the supernatural. When we get to it, it's really unexpected. It's like, oh, okay, this is that kind of movie.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Good job. And to that, I say
Hot D.
to that for you. So, good job. Anyways, yeah. So, I mean, very, very true that, the gentleman that played Percy, it was kind of funny rewatching the movie today. And I remember thinking to myself, I never recall him feeling like he kind of comes off a little and I was kind of like watching it going, I don't remember him ever me thinking that he acted a little and he makes a lot of those gay references throughout the movie, and I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, holy crap, I'm just noticing this now. I think it's kind of funny. I think that this person guy definitely was not fully functioning person, and so kind of his outcome at the end of the film is kind of, quid pro quo, I feel. But still, I was kind of cracking up at myself going, he seems a little gay. I'm like, why did I never catch that out there before? I was just kind of cracking up, going to myself. I'm like, I don't remember his talking to me before, just seeming like, I was cracking up. I was just like cracking up at it. So it was kind of funny about that Percy guy. And I was just like, maybe he was just very angry because he was a closeted homosexual. I don't know. But still, it was kind of interesting how after all these years watching it again, I was like, huh, that's so odd. But anyways, Percy, that guy is such a fucking dick in this movie. And you just like every time he does something, you just see all the other guys going, I just want to smack that motherfucker, and like this beginning sequence where it's just like right off the bat, you're like, this guy is just annoying as hell. And you're just like, I just want to smack this guy. He's such a dick. And what he does to Delacroix, and they're smashing his fingers. You're just like, oh, that's so fucked up. But I did find it interesting that versus any other prison film I had seen up to that time, this is one of the first times I saw it where the bailiffs or the guards were actually kind of nice to their death row inmates. I thought that was kind of interesting. I really feel like usually all the guards in movies were usually predicted or shown as like these big, dicks and stuff like that. So I thought it was kind of interesting that they kind of have them being very civil in this. And I thought that was different, and I had forgotten about that. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But as you were mentioning before, Jeff, about Michael Clark Duncan and the Academy Awards that year, he was up against Michael Caine for Cider House Rules, Tom Cruise for Magnolia, Jude Law for The Talented Mr. Ripley, and Haley Joel Osment for The Sixth Sense. So, I mean, he had a lot of competition that year. I mean, because, Haley Joel Osment was making big waves with his characterization. Tom Cruise with Magnolia was really big, I remember. And then, of course, Michael Caine ended up taking it because for Cider House Rules. So I think that it was kind of hard for him to win that year for his talent because there were just so many other great people there that had been around a lot longer.
From what I can remember from those films, I haven't watched any of those movies in a really long time. But I would have given the award to Tom Cruise. I thought he was really, really good in God, what's that film?
Vanilla Sky.
No, it wasn't Vanilla Sky. Was it Vanilla Sky?
Where he has the mask?
That's what it was?
Yeah, it's called Vanilla Sky.
Oh, I thought it was from Magnolia.
No, that's Vanilla Sky. Magnolia is the same. It came out, I think, it was in 99, but Vanilla Sky, I think, was the year prior or the year after.
Oh, okay. I thought Vanilla Sky was confusing as fuck. I didn't really get into it.
Yeah, it's a remake of a Spanish movie. That's why. Yeah,
I'm surprised that he actually got nominated for that film.
For Magnolia or for Vanilla Sky?
For Magnolia, I would understand, but for Vanilla Sky, I wouldn't even understand it.
Yeah, no, he wasn't nominated for Vanilla Sky.
Oh no, for Magnolia, right?
Yeah, for Magnolia. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would have given him the award.
yeah.
Over what's his name in Cider House Rules. Tom Cruise was really good in that Magnolia.
Yeah, so yeah, he had big competition, and that's kind of why he kind of did. I think is the reason why he unfortunately didn't win. But yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting. All the people he was up against that year, quite interesting.
Yeah, imagine getting your ass get beat by Haley Joel Osment.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious. Yeah, being one of the being like another one of the youngest persons to get nominated for Academy 2 at the time was pretty interesting too for Haley Joel.
Well, that film was really like popular that year and like a really big deal,
Yep. All right. So after the introduction and all that kind of good stuff, we briefly are entertained by or shown a prisoner on death row called Arlen Bitterbuck, who is Native American, and he is the first Native American to be executed in the electric chair. And so we end up seeing them getting and preparing for Arlen's execution. We see him, unfortunately be executed for his crimes. We see him kind of tell Pete about kind of his favorite time in life was with his wife at the time when he was 19, and that he hopes that after he dies he'll go to heaven and get to have that as in heaven. And basically we end up seeing his execution, and after his execution, that's when we're introduced to Wild Bill, who is played by Sam Rockwell, as I mentioned earlier. And he's very psychotic. He's William Wild Bill Wharton. He frequently assaults officers and racially abuses John, earning him spells in the padded cell, as we come across in the film. As soon as he gets into the Green Mile, he attacks the guards, and we have that kind of little guard scene there, where David Morse ends up knocking him off to get him to stop. And of course, we see him like making noise and causing ruckuses like that, and that's when they start throwing him in the padded room, which is super hilarious because the padded room wasn't used for a while, and they cleaned it out just for him to put him in there. And I think that's really fun. Every time he gets thrown in there, you just kind of crack it up because he's like, no. And I think that he does a really good job like portraying that character. Like I said, I think Sam Rockwell did a really good job as this character of Wild Bill. At this point in the film, too, as well, after we see the kind of montage of Wild Bill being thrown into the cell, we see Paul's bladder infection getting worse, and basically at one point he gets knocked in the nards, and he he's in like basically John sees him and John's like, come over here, and so he comes over, and John grabs him and then puts his hand down by his nards and basically heals him. And heals his bladder infection. Then after he John has done his thing, he goes into the bathroom and takes his first leak without pain in months, and he's very joyous about that. That's when we go back to his house, and he finally has sex with his wife for the first time, and they go all night 4 times, which I thought was super funny. And I think what's funnier is that they have Bonnie Hunt playing his wife in this film, which I totally forgot she was in this, and I thought that was such an odd casting, but she was absolutely fantastic, and I loved her in the character, and I thought she was really good. And I just remember thinking of something like, I totally forgot she was in this. This is so funny. But that scene cracks me up every time because, I don't remember the last time. We haven't done that since we were 19 and just married. And I thought that was super funny and kind of a little humor to this, very dramatic film, which I thought was really interesting. And after that point, all of a sudden Pete starts realizing there's something very special about John, and he starts to go and question people, and that's where we get introduced to Gary Sinise's character, and he kind of gives Tom Hanks a little bit of a kind of a rundown, and like, oh, I had some dogs that were seemed kind and natured, and they ended up attacking my boy at one point, and that books can't always be judged by their book covers. Kind of basically is what he saying, but he's like, I think John Coffey's guilty. And so, after Pete's kind of like trying to get more information about, what's going on with John, like he started to doubt that John really is, guilty of this crime. And during this time, of course, we have more troubles with Percy, causing trouble. And eventually, by this point, that's when we have the unfortunate scene of Mr. Jingles being squashed by Percy. And thankfully, John's like, give me Mr. Jingles, and he resurrects him, and it is fine. One thing I thought that was interesting about the mice that played Mr. Jingles, there was actually 15 mice that they had gotten, trained mice, to play Mr. Jingles throughout the whole entire film. And I guess in every single scene we see a mice or a mouse, however you want to say it. It's actually it's a different mouse every take that they used. So throughout the whole entire film, you'll see all 15 of the mice that they used or had purchased to use that were trained. And I thought that was kind of interesting. But Mr. Jingles, of course, is resurrected by John after he had been squashed. And of course, Mr. Delacroix is all upset because in between this, him getting squished, we had that brief time that he had made a little visit to somewhere else before his execution. We had that and everything. And, thankfully, Mr. Jingles being resurrected, calms down, Delacroix finally after being, cured. And of course, that sequence is very interesting too. So before we go past what were you guys' kind of thoughts on kind of that whole situation? The Arlene Bitterbuck character being executed, Wild Bill being introduced, the padded cell kind of montage, the bladder infection being fixed, Mr. Jingles' kind of demise and resurrection. What are you guys' thoughts on kind of that section of the film? I'll start with you, Andreas.
Sure. Yeah, so this is the one I remember clearly when I was growing up. This is the section I remember from this film. I would never forget about it. Especially the mouse theme. That's the one I rarely remember because of the Percy and his ridiculous, like, it's just awful behavior of just smashing the mouse, because for his revenge on him for making a joke, because he wet himself because of the Wild Bill, tackling him, and teasing him and all that. It was so bad. So I was very happy that John resurrect the mouse, and I was very happy. I like how the way the guys kind of like tried to show him that the mouse is fine, and so they made a deal for him. Like, all right, like Peter, made a deal for Percy. Like, all right, you're gonna do your like the what is it, like the role of the judge, right? Whatever, to do the procedure, right, for execution. But after that, you're gonna go transfer whatever prison or whatever you go, and you'll be gone by the Green Mile. Like, they don't want him there. So like that was a good way to make a deal with the devil. And I always like that scene. Yeah, this is it's like it's such a great prison. Like it's very laid back. You see like this recurring plot line about the mouse. They're trying to get the mouse, and then it's really the prisoner that's played by Michael Jitter, who plays the Frenchman, Adele, and like he becomes friends with the mouse, and so I that's so that part is always funny to me. They're trying to get this mouse, and I like the funny gag where they're trying to get all the stuff out from the like cell that's like for the the straight jacket. That was really cool and funny. And yeah, and then seeing Pierre get his like bladder infection cured by John, very like cool scene, like very intense. Because as as I brought up about, when Wild Bill comes into the Green Mile, he attacks them. Of course, he kicks Pierre in the bottom, and which was really brutal, like because he really came out from the bathroom. He had like throughout the film we see him having this bladder infection problem, and like it's just getting worse and worse, and getting kicked is like the worst thing ever, and I really felt that for for this character, and then like of course he like John is this big guy, and like he read the report like what he did, and it's like it's scary. I mean, it's messed up. What kind of crime? Of course, we don't know what happened. Like we don't know what was going on with him. So we just know he did this crime that people think that he did. And he holds his hand and is like, whoa, like very like the lights blow, like light up, and it's like some lights like kind of blow out. I think, and he feels better, and like all of a sudden he nothing like pain gone away, and it's like crazy, such a miracle, and that's where you get into the like the more Stevie King, Sandro Supernatural. I always like this movie not being a horror film because they could easily took that in a really bad way. I'm very happy it's not like that, and so you just get this like, oh, this guy he has a gift, and it's it's very it's like it's again like we're doing like some religion, something like that. It's a miracle, and Peter is cured. And it's a funny thing afterwards. He meets his wife, and then like all of a sudden he has sex with her, and it's like apparently he did it 4 times in one day, which is hilarious. It was so funny. And yeah, I agree, Cyber. I totally forgot. I was like, who is this actress? And that's the mom from the Trooper by a Dozen reboot that I grew up. She's in Jumanji, the 1995 film, starring Robert Williams. Beethoven, that's where I usually know her from. Great actress, Bunny Hunt. I actually saw Red One recently, a couple weeks ago, and she's great too, as the wife of Santa Claus. Um, but yeah, and this has a great cast, like Harry Dean Stanton from classic films from Alien, Paris, Texas. I when he popped up, I was like, he's oh my god, he was so funny in this movie. Like him just going with the routine of the like, education, that was really funny. It was really cool he was here. Of course, you got the usual like cast members of like Frank Darabont, like the other guard who plays uh Dale from The Walking Dead, not Herschel. I just I forgot his name here, but like, but he's in The Walking Dead. But he was really great here, and of course you got Sam Rockwell as Wild Bill. A great year for him for 1999. Like this and Ghastly Quest, he's so fantastic here. Another actor, James Conwell, great actor. I forgot that he was in this movie. He's amazing. If you've seen Babe or Star Trek First Contact, he's an amazing actor. I like his relationship with Pierre, and you feel sorry for him what's going on with his wife. So overall, this section is like the memorable part about the film because you're getting into the more supernatural stuff, seeing like the wholesome a heart of John, and this nice, very, like, teddy bear, this put in the worst position ever. Um, yeah, and I never thought about they're being nice, but like, I mean, like we don't know how hard these criminals are, like I mean, except for Wild Bill, like Wild Bill is crazy, but yeah, so very interesting. They're nice to their prisoners, compared to other prison films like Shawshank. Like Shawshank, they you see that as like they treat their prisoners like very like very mild, not too much respect, but like they whatever. So great section of the film. Very excited to talk about the other stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, sir. Sir Jeff, your thoughts, sir, on this section?
Yeah, it's it's an interesting story device that they have the whole situation where John heals Tom Hanks's character's bladder infection or whatever you want to call it. And we start off with him peeing and having a problem with it right off the bat and all that. It's kind of a quirky kind of thing to have, in a movie, coming off a book, of course. But it's interesting how they go about conveying John's power or ability that he has or whatever. They could have done a lot of different things with it. They could have went a lot of different directions with that, right? I liked how they did it in sort of a subtle way, right? Where it wasn't like, too much CGI or too much special effects or like crazy stuff, lights or whatever. It was more, closed off, and then just him exhaling, the flies out or whatever, It was very self-explanatory. Again, there's a lot of sad stuff that, that occurs throughout the story of this film. You get introduced to the warden and his wife, and she has the tumor, of course, that's sad. You know what I'm saying? It's fucking hilarious when Tom Hanks, gets touched by John and he gets like all virile and young and shit and bangs his wife 4 times and shit. And she actually moans. In the one scene, they do a moan scene where it cuts out to a window and she's like, They did one of those. I forgot about that. That was a very 80s, 90s thing to do, to have the cut to the chick moaning scene sexually. But they went there in the Green Mile. Kudos to the Green Mile on that shit. They went there with Bonnie Hunt and everything and whatnot, had her, moaned and all that shit. It's a cool, addition to the film, I guess, and Bonnie Hunt looks good in this movie for her age. I'm sure she still probably looks good now. The casting of the actual officers is really where I really like it. I love the camaraderie between the different officers, that work the mile, what else happens during this part of the movie? Is this where the mouse gets killed and comes back to life too? Yeah.
Yeah.
The first showing and use of the electric chair is well done. It services the film well, because the film already has a lot of hardcore, emotional, sad tones and things like that. You don't want to go too hardcore with the electric chair stuff. I thought they handled that pretty well, as far as the mouse and bringing the mouse back to life, yeah, Percy is an asshole. It must suck to be that actor that has to play that character in a film, and be that reviled by everybody else that plays in the film. You know what I mean? And be out on the island almost as that bad guy, that villain or whatever, not even a villain, but a piece of shit, a scumbag type guy. That must suck as an actor to have to play that role, I'd imagine, on set and everything with the other actors and all that. I'd imagine. That's what I thought when I watched the movie. Hats off to the actor that plays Percy. He does a good job playing an asshole, playing a fucking racist, piece of shit, stuck up, narcissistic piece of shit, that can't function at his job on his own. He has to rely on his family's name, which back then meant a lot more than it does now, it carried a lot of weight, right? So, and this is back during the Depression era. So like, obviously it's pretty it's understandable why they can't fuck with him. They can't get rid of him. And whatnot. They don't want to lose their jobs, right? There are no jobs. We may have already gone over it. I skipped over it, but the scene where they do show John with the girls is really, really, really like disturbing and sad. This movie is very, very like real, man. I was almost going to say graphic, but it's not graphic. It's just very real and like cold and hard. You know what I'm saying? Like with the source material, what they throw at you. It's a lot, it really can be, a lot to take in. But Sam Rockwell does a good job. He adds something, an interesting component to the film in his role, in his capacity. He does add an interesting component, right? It sort of makes sense with him right off the bat, kind of, that he'd be the one more capable of committing a heinous crime, like of like raping children or something like that, than John Coffey. You kind of get that vibe from jump. And I could care less about the whole mouse thing and all that shit. Like, fuck mice. Like, I can't stand mice or whatever to begin with. And like, I didn't cry when Percy stepped on Mr. Bojangles or whatever. Like, I wasn't sad or anything. It was cool for John Coffey to bring it back to life.
Mr. Jiggles.
Mr. Jingles. It was really cool for John Coffey to bring him back to life and all that. Don't get me wrong. He's a magical motherfucker with that, his Jesus Christ healing powers and shit and all that. It's fucking crazy. But overall, as far as the film goes, the dynamic between the one fucking prisoner and the mouse really does nothing for me. I could care less about any of that with him. But I will say one thing, based off of what Andres was saying, they really like lighten up the prisoners for Death Row in this movie. Like who they give us as the prisoners are like basically a bunch of okay guys to deal with, that aren't really that like bad, and like you almost feel bad for them when they get like, killed and all that shit. In real life, man, on Death Row and shit like that back in 1935 or whatever, I'd have to imagine there were probably a lot of Wild Bill type, like, just fucking like really fucked up dudes and shit and whatnot on Death Row, But they couldn't really, they couldn't go too far with that. It wouldn't have fit with the story, right? So there had to be some, some positives, with all of the bad and all of the sad. But that's it.
All right. Excellent. Excellent. And as they always say, I mean, the back in 1930s, we really have no clue how it was like on death row or in prisons at all. Just from what other people said, I think they did a pretty good, depiction of it, because at that time, death row was kind of a newer thing, really, if you think about it. Having just a one big place for all the people on death row versus as, back in the Wild West, they just had prisons all over the place. They just had people in waiting to be taken somewhere to be hanged, unlike that, so this was kind of a new thing, having the electric chair and all that kind of stuff. So I think that this gave a pretty good depiction probably of what it was like in 1935.
And in that time period too, Cyber, they were doing it a lot more too. They were handing out the death sentences a lot more, they weren't holding back with that shit. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. I agree. All right. Good job, everyone. Really good job with that section. Yeah, most definitely. A lot of interesting stuff happens in that portion. By the time we get to the section we're at, I feel this is really where the movie really starts to get, really crazy and even more sad, really, if you think about it. Because as we've mentioned, everyone's kind of mentioned that, this movie is just sad from the start till the end. I mean, this movie is just all about like sad, unfortunate things, and just kind of death and everything, and it kind of sucks. But
it's based on a character that fucking like is accused of like raping and murdering children, like, you know what I'm saying, like little girls. Like, it's a heinous crime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just want to mention too, Cyber, the addition of Gary Sinise in that small role in the film is actually really, really, really great. It's a really great addition that really adds a little bit of flavor, to the story, to the film. Gary Sinise is really good in that small part.
I agree. Very much so. All right. So, at this point, this is when we kind of find out that Percy's wish is to officiate an execution to be put out front, as he says. And basically, after the whole mouse stepping thing, they basically, David Morse's character and Pete, tell him that they will grant him this, condition immediately, if he immediately therefore asks for a transfer from the penitentiary job to an insane asylum job. At Dell's execution, Percy deliberately avoids soaking the sponge used to conduct electricity to Dell's head, leading to Dell's gruesome and agonizing death. John also feels Dell's pain. The other officers punish Percy by forcing him into a straitjacket for a night in the padded cell. Meanwhile, they drug Wharton and smuggle John out to heal Warden Moore's wife, Melinda, of a terminal brain tumor. So we'll stop there because that's a big section, I feel, of stuff going on there. So Dell's execution, what did you guys think about that? What did you think about them putting Percy into a straitjacket and throwing him into the padded cell? And what did you think about the whole thing with John being taken to, the warden's house to heal his wife, and we see the miraculous healing of her, and she seems sane again? What were you guys' thoughts on that section? I'll start with you, Jeff, this time.
The the healing part, right, with the wife, like, I don't know. I mean, the way that they like show her suddenly like back to life, like all vibrant and like 27 fucking years younger than she was like a minute ago or whatever, in the bed and all that shit. That was a little bit like, come on now, like, I get it. Like, he healed her and all that shit. But like, that, I forgot that was a little bit far-fetched, because she really fucking, like, it was a game changer what John Coffey did to her. Like, he took like fucking 3 decades off of her in how she looked, but it's a nice scene. I don't know, like, it's kind of weird that she's hugging him and all this shit and everything when she can't even remember what the fuck even happened, all she remembers is going to get checked out at the doctor or whatever from that one day. You know what I'm saying? So she doesn't even know who the fuck the guy really is. She just knows that she met him in the dark and they met or whatever. So when she hugs him and everything, and I'm like, okay, I guess, I mean, I don't know. It's nice, it's obviously a poignant part of the film. I think the part of it that's well done is how they handle getting John into the house with the warden. His character sort of not understanding what's going on, being confused, and all that, right? And then, of course, his wife is all bonkers and shit because of the tumor. So she's saying crazy shit like, oh, bring that big fucking Shaquille O'Neal fucking, big post player, big dick motherfucker up in here. Why not? Let's do it. All this shit, No, I don't think she actually said that. But she was saying some crazy shit, but that was all really well done. They have that moment where there's like an earthquake in the room almost, right? I forgot about that too. That's pretty intense, like there's a whole like earthquake moment when John heals her. I thought that was like a nice touch. I don't know. I mean, the poorly done execution is just a joke. It's just kind of like, you know, it's pathetic because you already hate Percy to begin with, you know? So it just adds more fuel to the fire to hate his character. And, you know, like, obviously, the dude with the mouse and all that shit, he's a sympathetic character. So nobody, like, feels good about watching him get burnt up like that and all that shit, you know? And obviously people were puking and all that shit watching because they couldn't handle it. So, you know, I like that. I like that Tom Hanks's character made Percy watch. I like that. That was very 1935. You know, like very real men. You know, like World War II type shit. Like, you did this shit, motherfucker. You watch. You know, you watch what you did. And honestly, like, I don't see what was the big like real big deal was. The guy's head just like caught on fire. You know, like, it didn't really bother me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't all thrown off by it or anything like that or whatever. He just on fire. You know, like, I mean, it sucks to watch somebody scream and shit and all that, but it's death. You know what I'm saying? You're killing somebody. You know, so like, I don't know, but yeah, you know, it's a very interesting part of the movie. Very powerful. You know, obviously the whole like I didn't know I was supposed to wet the sponge deal or whatever is really fucking stupid. You know, come on now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even work in a prison, you know, and like on death row, and I know that you have to wet the sponge before you fucking put the clamp on the dude's head and then you give him the electricity. Even I know that from watching fucking CSI and fucking crime shows and shit like that, you know? There you go. So take that. Andre's a pop culture guy, sir. And that's all I got for right now.
All right. Thank you, sir. Andre, same question, sir.
Sure, I can beat you to that. Yeah, I agree with Xavier. This section is where we really wrap up for the film. I think Jeff is right. You know, this film, unlike Shawshank, where that was like, you know, it was a dark film, but like at least the end you were hopeful. Here, this movie is, you know, is dark and very sad towards the end, and you know, but we got some hopeful moments, like, you know, the wife getting better. I I mean, look, you know, you have to was it stand like disbelief, you know, the logic of the film, how, you know, John can cure her and completely like be like youthful. I mean, that's what happened. I mean, like it I mean, because
John breathed makeup onto her face.
yeah, like he did this whoop. It's like now she's pretty, you know, like I'm now hot and I'm 20 now, you know. Yeah, that whole scene when they're trying to get him to like the house and all that is so cool. It's like a mini movie. It's like, excuse me, like it's like a house, like it's like a heist, but like instead of it's like it's a mortal heist. It's like, okay, we didn't take this guy who has like this like pure medical ability and take it to this, you know, this, you know, ill person. And it's like so cool, like they're trying to drug Wild Billy, you know, and then, you know, putting the straitjacket on Percy was really like rewarding, because, you know, I didn't like that character at that point. It's a very touching scene, you know, like of course James Conwell did such an amazing job of, you know, displaying the anger, the sadness, and the happy, you know, hopeful, you know, when seeing his wife being cured, it's like so fantastic. It's just, and then I forgot about this, you know, when we watched this, because you know, we brought up how John, when he does revive, or like, you know,
Could you imagine if after that night he never touched his wife ever again because his wife kissed a black dude?
I mean, at that point, yes. I mean, but now it's like, no, like if this is in the present day, like it's not gonna be a big deal. But like, yeah, back then, yeah, like I'm surprised he didn't hit that guy. But like, hey, he was seeing something a miracle, right? That's a good question, Jeff. I'm surprised he didn't do anything like just like get away from my wife.
John Coffey was like on top of her.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. Like I thought he was gonna just kiss her in the forehead, but then he goes to the mouth. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. wow, I was surprised his husband didn't do anything. Um, yeah, so of course, when he's done with when he's done doing his magic abilities, he didn't like spit out the butterflies. I was very concerned because the whole thing was shaking, and I was worried for John. That was like a cool moment, and I do agree with you, Jeff. It's good that there's no special effects, like just like small things like the butterflies. That makes sense, or whatever those fly things come out of his mouth. It's good that we just get like practical effects of like things like the light bulbs blowing up, like it tells us that okay, something is like supernatural is happening. Okay, that makes sense. Like we don't need something fancy and all that crap. Um but yeah, so that scene is my favorite of the film. Just like that lady getting help, getting cured, and her giving the necklace to John was really touching. It just shows her gratitude of,
It's sad. It's sad. John won't take it at first. He has to look at the guards first to see if it's okay for him to take the necklace. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, I
He's so
know.
he's so beaten down as a human being. You know what I mean? That it's like it's depressing as fuck.
Yeah, I know, and he's so nice. He's like asking for permission to like take the necklace. Yeah, that scene killed me every time that happens. Um, yeah, and then another thing. Now we're getting into another thing that Percy did. Jumping into the what is it? You brought up the electrocution of Dow. And I think the reason it was a big deal in that moment because first off, he didn't properly, as we noticed before, the sponge not being wet, because that was not how you should do it. You always make conscious decision to like execute them like enough for the people who don't feel uncomfortable. Because like I mean, first of all, you don't want to see the person die horribly. So like I kind of get it, understand that like that was really not how it's supposed to be. That makes sense. Even back then, like it was not like it's not like hanging someone where like that's fine. It's like 1, 2, 3, bam. Electrocution is like tough, because sometimes they don't die right away. We saw that with the first the Indian guy because
Well, it's supposed to die when it's done properly. They're supposed to die.
yeah,
Right away.
yeah. But this was like a brutal kill. Like he was burning up and like that. So that wasn't supposed to be. And the thing I hate that Percy did that intentionally. He still had a grudge on him because of because he was making like he was laughing with Wild Bill because of the whole situation. It's like such a douchebag. So I was very happy when going back to them going back to the taking John back to the cell. He infected Percy with the
We didn't.
cancer.
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Okay, so let me wrap up. This section is really great, as you see before, folks. I really this section is really like this part I remember about this movie because I see this so many times. Like Dell, the horrible execution, the wife getting cured. These are the sections I remember about this film. It's so impactful. Yeah, it's very fairy tale, but like in like very southern way. So it gets to me. And Frank Darabont, great director. I wish he was nominated for best director for this movie. It's a great film, great prison film, and so I'm very excited to talk about the finale because the finale is where it's like
It's a very innocent time period. Cyber.
Yeah.
Very very innocent. Time period of the country.
No shit. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
I knew that, sir. I knew that.
Yeah, it's a very innocent. It's a very I don't know, American dream, back in the day, type of like American like life, type film.
Very true. Very true, sir. And Andre, it's Darabont, sir. Darabont. Just so you knew how to say that there for you, sir.
I'm gonna just call him Frank. That's all I have to say.
I wish I could do a Shaq impression so I could do some Shaq in the movie, like some scenes with Shaq. You know what I'm saying? Like what would happen?
Talk like this. You gotta talk like this. That's all you gotta do.
I can't. I'm not good at voices, so I can't do Shaq really good.
Yeah. I could have been in the movie. Yeah. Anyways, that's too bad. I'm sorry, sir. You can't do Shaq, but that's okay. I'll do a little for you there. All right, great job, guys. Excellent job. Very well done. All right, so moving on. So this is the point where they get back to the Green Mile, and at this point, this is after they've let Percy back out of the padded room. He's all flustered and kind of crying, and John grabs him and transfers Melinda's affliction into Percy's brain. When that happens, basically it causes Percy to go and shoot Wharton dead. John reveals in a vision to Paul that Wharton was the true culprit of the crimes to which he was wrongfully condemned. Percy, in a catatonic state, is committed to the insane asylum where he had planned to work. So at this point, this is when we get to John having to be executed, and Paul is all distraught about this. The thought of executing John, because he has basically been confirmed that he's innocent, and even offers to let him go free. But equally distraught at the outcome, John nevertheless says execution would actually be a mercy, as the world is too cruel for him, and he is in constant pain from the suffering people inflicted upon each other. John's last request is to watch a movie. Having never seen one before, he, Paul, and the others watch the film Top Hat. As John is taken to be executed, he asks not to have the hood, as he's afraid of the dark. The officers hold back tears as John is executed on Paul's orders. So a cool little tidbit about Top Hat. In the book, the film is actually supposed to take place in 1932. But because they have the film Top Hat in this movie, the rights for the film, they had to switch it to 1935 because that's the year Top Hat actually came out. So this is actually technically supposed to be 1932, but they made it 1935 so that they use the Top Hat in this film when they got the rights to the film to be able to use it in it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit. All right, guys. So starting with you, Andres, what are your thoughts on this part? Now, John transferring the affliction to Percy, and up through John's execution, the watching of Top Hat, basically Paul and his conversation, basically it kind of, like I said, through John's execution. What were your thoughts on that section?
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. This section. This is the part where I don't. Was the first time I properly see the film. This end section. Because I never. I was kind of curious. Yes, I know. I just finished this just now. I never. So I always don't remember what happened with John. Not John. Percy and Sam Wentworth's character. I didn't know what happened to those two for the longest time. So for today, I was very excited to know what happened because I kept exposed away from me. So I was very surprised what happened to Percy and Wild Bill, played by Sam Rockwell, and I was very happy. What happened to those two? I was very happy. Like it was so like this is where Frank does a really good job as a writer. I like how we've been hearing about this institution that has been going, Percy transferred. And then I love how they pay off by him being committed to the insane asylum. So that was such a great justice. And I was like, yes. Oh, that was such a rewarding thing to see. But I kind of, like, I don't know, like, you can answer this, but, like, I do question it. Like, EC, well, I guess he is maybe has the brain tumor. It's just maybe he's doing it differently than the wife, but we'll see. I don't know. So I was very happy. I was shocked when he shot Wild Bill like that. I was like, I was like, whoa. And it just shows how powerful John is, because the fact that he was able to do that, like, I don't know, control him and like tell him to like kill him, because before he left the cell, which we haven't brought up, Wild Bill touches John, and he had this just a reference to another Stephen King movie or novel, The Dead Zone. If you know what happened to it, Christopher Robin's character has this powers of like looking to the future. So John had, like, I guess he saw the visions of what Wild Bill did, and so we get this huge twist that it wasn't John that killed the two girls in the opening. It was actually Wild Bill. He was there working with the father, who's a great actor, who's in Die Hard 2, and of course he was in the Shawshank Redemption as one of the inmates, friend with Red and Andy, and he killed them, and it was yeah, they different. And yeah, so
William Sadler.
yes, William Sadler. By the way, he's the greatest Grim Reaper ever. If you haven't seen Bill Ted Bogus, was it Bogus Journey or Bogus Adventure? Great Grim Reaper. He's so funny in that movie, and I think he came back for the third film, Face the Music. But yeah, so we got that twist. I was so shocked, and that's where Michael Clark Duncan does his great performance there, just telling him how bad he is, just showing the vision to Pierre. Was you see the agony and all that from Tom Hanks' performance is like so beautiful, and it just like, and then of course the light, the bolts get like exploded because of the energy or whatnot, like all that is like spectacular and like just like powerful with that. And yeah, and then of course he's seeing just the final days with John, requesting to get a meal and then watching the top hat. And then it's funny that same thing, the Penguin has the top hat, so it's very funny we had this movie again in the movie. I think that's a good movie to use to like show what's going on. So so I yeah, this section is very tough to see, and yeah, very shocking. It's very sad. So yeah, getting ready for the finale. It's really bad for me.
All right, Jeff, your thoughts leading up to John's execution?
Andres, that was a long contribution, sir. You threw me into like a spiral over here. I'm trying to get back into the review.
It's 60 mini minute returns this year.
Are we going to the end, Cyber?
No.
Oh,
John Coffey, just John Coffey's death.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just all fucking sad. Oh, well, where's the timing on that? Anyways, this is all sad. Like this part of the movie and everything is it's all sad from there on. It's all depressing as fuck. Like none of it's good. I mean, it's really like just a sad fest. Of course, like John Coffey's last request is he wants to see the Flicker show, which just sounds fucking like depressing as fuck when he says it and everything, like it's horrible. You know what I mean? But he gets to see his Flicker show, so that's good. And again, I do enjoy the relationship between Tom Hanks's character and John Coffey's character in the film, and watching it evolve throughout the film. It's very interesting. The death of John Coffey, they handle it well. I mean, the guards are already like displayed throughout the film that they're like, pretty ethical, moral guys to begin with when it comes to their job, right? But they treat John Coffey with like, real special treatment, towards the end. And it's very sad that, that it's better for him to die than to live, with all the pain and everything that he has to live with. You know what I'm saying? It's very, you feel for him as a person, like what it must be like to live like his life. So it's tough, and I guess it's a good message, that this part of the film and how it goes down that way. I guess it services the film, and it makes a point, it's not all doom and gloom, but a lot of it is pretty sad. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. It's the last portion of the film is the saddest portion of this whole entire film, with John Coffey's death, how they feel about John after learning, that he did not kill and rape those kids, and that it was really, Sam Rockwell's character, Wild Bill. And, you see them through the whole film kind of grow to really like John, because everything he's shown has been to help people. He hasn't done anything to hurt anybody. And they're just like, how the hell can this person, this gentle giant, have done those to those little girls? And, it's heartbreaking. And, this whole ending, they did a really great job of bringing that and making that feeling so strong for the people in the audience watching it. And it really does. It gets you in the heartstrings. I forgot how emotional this film was watching it myself. And it was interesting how emotional it gets at the end of this film. So I agree, people. All right. So to conclude the film, we go back to present day, and elderly Paul tells Elaine that John's execution was the last that he and Brutal witnessed. They both left the prison and took jobs in the juvenile system. He shows Elaine that Mr. Jingles is still alive and reveals that he himself is now 108 years old. He was 44 when John was executed. While Elaine sees Paul's long life as a miracle, Paul speculates that outliving all of his loved ones is punishment for John's execution. After Elaine's funeral, Paul muses on how much longer he has to live, saying, "We each owe a death. There are no exceptions, but oh God, sometimes the Green Mile seems so long." All right, so that is the conclusion of the film. So what are you guys' thoughts on the conclusion, going back to present day? And, kind of, him revealing that somehow John had passed on something to him and to Mr. Jingles that has allowed them to live a very long life. And that, he ends up revealing to Elaine that he's 108 years old, because we see her ask him, how are you still, that doesn't add up, because you said you had a full-grown children in 1935. And he reveals that he was 44 in 1935. So in 1999, that will make him 108 years old. So I think that was an interesting little twist, I thought. So what are you guys' thoughts on that conclusion of the film, starting with you, Jeff?
It's I don't know. It's nice, I don't know what the accurate words are to use. It's a good way to end the story on a positive note, I suppose. With all the sadness in the film, right? It is a flavor that's a little bit more positive, right? And of course it does wrap up the overall story, the overarching story that starts, right? With the older people at the beginning of the movie. So it's well done. I like the use of the intro and the sort of outro parts of the film with the older actors. Cyber, a minute ago, I thought you actually were going to say that the old woman shows her ass or something like that. And that's what I thought you were going to say in the scene. And I was like, she did? Like, I didn't notice that, but you didn't say that, sir. You said something else. But yes. So yeah, I like The Green Mile. It's a good movie. It's very easy to forget how sad it is and how emotional it is, I think. I have not watched it probably since, I don't know, that the year 2000 probably maybe was the last time that I saw the film, right? On like HBO or something like that, like living with my parents at home back in the day. So it's a good movie. It stands up. And, the whole wrinkle of John's power being able to, extend life and all that and everything. It makes sense. It fits the film. It fits the scope of the film, that it would go that way, you feel bad for at the end, you feel bad for the guard guy, because he's 108 years old and like all of his friends die, at like the old folks home and shit like that, you know, and he ends up alone. You know what I mean? Like even that's depressing. So I mean, it's one of those movies, man. You know, like Shawshank Redemption, where there's just a lot of like really like negative stuff that occurs, you know, and some really, you know, sad, you know, kind of bring you down a little bit, tug on your heartstrings kind of shit goes down a lot. And it's one of those movies, you know, like I said, you don't see a lot of them anymore. But I enjoyed watching it again. And you know, I already recommended it to one person tonight that hadn't seen it, you know. So obviously I'll recommend it again. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right, thank you. Andres, your thoughts on the conclusion, sir?
Yeah, everyone knows about the conclusion. I mean, the John saying that don't put, the thing, I don't like the dark. I'm afraid of the dark, and so that it's not how he say it, but like, him not wanting to know the like black cloth thing over his face. It's very like hard to see. Like to see him die without that. It's like ooh, and just the way Tom Hanks and Michael, Clark Duncan just interact is just so beautiful. Like their chemistry is just so spot on, and this him shaking his hand for one last time is like such a like powerful scene. And then just seeing the young guard, I forgot what's his name, Dean or something like that. I mean, like he had to hold his tears.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Barry Pepper.
But
Barry Pepper.
yeah, Barry Pepper, right? Like that's where it like you start to like just like him, it's like you start to tear up. It's like oh god, and the other two men like Brute and the other fellow from Walking Dead, who's in the first two seasons, they hold up their tears, but they you can see their expression really sad and like they respect him, and of course Peter like really trusted him, and this he's very sad, and it makes sense that was his last execution, and that makes sense. And then we get this other major twist is that because we run up like he's talking to this friend in the retirement home or nursing home, whatever. Like about the story, it's very hard to believe. And then like you see the mouse, and it's like, well, like he has lived just like Peter this long, because apparently he has kids that like were grown men. Was it 1935 or something like that? And excuse me, and like the math doesn't calculate. And so like really great touch, a twist there. Like either or not the story is real or not. I like that kind of ambiguous like ending or like kind of like is this real or not? Like just kind of just give you this like little like twist that maybe this is real or not. And this maybe is in his head or something like that. But no, it's a very touchy ending. The fact that all his friends are dead, as Jeff said before, it's really sad that he's like still living. You don't know if when he's going to pass. Even the mouse, like you can tell maybe the mouse is maybe passing or something like that. Like as he's breathing in and out while he's sleeping in that what is it, cigar box, whatever. But yeah, fantastic ending. Like very different. Like this movie is very different from Shawshank. I mean, it's a more sadder movie. Has a bit of the Stephen King like supernatural, but it's not like full on horror. But it's much more like a very sincere, like heartfelt kind of movie. Um, like Shawshank, but this just added supernatural. It's a fantastic movie. I always love it, and it was great that this was on schedule because it's been a while I saw this film, and it's fantastic, and it paced very well. Like we haven't brought it's 3 hours, but like the movie like just paced so well. Like I remember what happened in this film, and it just shows how good this film it is after 26 years, and it still holds up. I mean, compared to other films Stephen King, this is like top tier, but I highly recommend it as well. It look, it cannot be Shawshank. That's a totally different movie, and but I will highly rate this film when we do our ratings.
Okay, and you can't go without highly rating this.
最初からまだね、手先上回すこと以外にほぼデータがなかったんですが、ただもんじゃないですね。
結構ね、ルイズ・プリモ選手の情報って意外と少ないですよね。
少ないんですよ。SNS でね、ピザ生地を回しながら戦う姿の動画がですね、めちゃくちゃバズったんですが、そのバズった以上の情報が入ってこないんですよね。今度はピザ。
I mean that pizza guy definitely is a 10. You know, I mean, he's badass.
We need new content, man. A lot of our memes and our video clips are played out. You know, like they're not as funny as they used to be. The pizza guy is forever. You know what I'm saying? Don't get me wrong. You know, but after a while, you don't laugh as much off the pizza guy as you did before. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like the Green Mile. It's like the Green Mile when you lived to 108 years old from 1935. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I still laugh at this clip.
That is the best.
Yeah, that clip is the best thing we have after 2024. And it's still yeah.
No, I think this. That is the best. That is
no. That one is that one's okay. I've seen better.
Yeah.
That's really funny because I made it right when the Eternals came out. You know what I'm saying? You know? So it was like, remember at that point, it was like full effect, Cyber. It really had impact back then.
Yeah. So thank you, Life Rewired, the Brain Injury Podcast. Thank you for popping by. Glad you added this to your watch list. Can't wait for you to watch it, see if you enjoy it like we do.
Yeah.
So going around, what are you guys' ratings? Mr. Jeff, what would you give this film?
Oh, he's going to come on. I think his name is Rob. He's going to come on the show and guest with us at some point. What's going on, Rob? I think I'm supposed to talk to him on the phone tomorrow. I'll give the film a 9.75 because I don't want to give it a 10. I don't feel like it deserves a 10, but it's really fucking good. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I'm one of those I'm one of those motherfuckers that will do like 0.75s and shit like that, and 0.25s and all that kind of shit in my ratings. That's right, I do that shit. So 9.75, baby.
Andres?
I'll give this a 9 out of 10. It's a high rating film. It's a long movie. It's not a uplifting film like certain Stephen King films or Shawshank as I bring up, but it's still an amazing, incredible film of 1999. 1999 was the greatest year for filmmaking in general. We brought up other films like Magnolia. Of course, Eyes Wide Shut came out, and other great films that we haven't yet discussed in this channel. And this one is the long line of greatest films in 1999. So I highly recommend watching this film. Thank you, Life Rewire. Please watch it in your watch list. It's a great film. But yeah, very happy to talk.
We're going to do Magnolia this year in 2025. I had it on the schedule and I skipped it in the past, but we're going to do it this year. I'm sorry, Cyber.
That's all right. Anyways, I'll give it a 9 as well because just like Andre said, it isn't uplifting. I don't feel that The Green Mile is better than Shawshank, and I give Shawshank a 10. So I give this one a 9, just because it is very sad and no really uplifting moments in the film. So I have to give it a 9. Overall, I think it's still a really great film. It was really fun rewatching it. It's been a while since I saw it. And so I found it really, it was refreshing again to see this movie and remember how greatly written it was and really greatly acted by everyone. And just really a great film. Well, okay, folks, that is it for The Green Mile. Thank you for watching. If you've watched, we're going to get to plugs now and get the hell out of here. Move it over to Mr. Jeff.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you, Cyber. Good job tonight, sir. It was a good movie review. You did a good job moderating. So and we appreciate everybody out there. I hope that everyone's having a wonderful beginning to their 2025. So I will start off with you, Andres, the pop culture guy. You will be first. And tell us, sir, what you've been doing. As usual, I have not noticed a ton of notifications lately in the last couple of days. So
Yeah. There's a good reason. Thank you everyone for joining us for the Greedy Mile review.
Yes, thank you for watching the Shawshank Redemption review.
Oh man, great start for our 2025 content. So sorry guys, I've been under the weather this week, so I'm getting somewhat better. So yeah, I've been slowing with content. I've been just taking a little break, having enjoyed the holidays and New Year's with my mom. So, but no worries. This week I'm trying to get back to the groove thing. So hopefully tomorrow night I'm going to start doing more shorts, and I have a plan of a couple videos up. Not saying what, but next Sunday, I don't know when, but I'm gonna have another live stream view with these two guys. Hopefully, that is gonna plan. I just need to discuss them what kind of movie. So no worries, everything should be back in order in terms of routine. But if you miss me, just check out these other awesome content I did back in 2024. I just want to say thank you guys for so much what you did for me on 2024. It was a great year for me. I had to learn. It was a great year, but it was the highs, but it also there was the lows. So hopefully I can learn and improve my content for 2025 and be better at it. So I just want to just thank Jeff and Cyber for everything what they did for me for these last years.
We reviewed a bunch of movies together on your channel in 2024. We reviewed a lot of movies.
Yeah, we did. And it did well. So I just so hopefully I can get back and do better.
And we did Chucky too.
Yes, we did Chucky, and it was the first thing I did for live stream. So I'm very grateful for that. Yeah, so we started a little bit in 2023, and then like the full year 2024, we did all live streams. So it has grown. So far my biggest one for live stream is the ACER Nitro one still, which is incredible. But yeah, just just watch out for
this.
You've had some pretty
yeah. Yeah. And yeah,
you've had some hope. Yeah, what? You've had some pretty good picks on your movies. I've enjoyed doing reviews with you and all that. You know, you do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Except for Half Baked.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
Half Baked was rough.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So,
I picked Half Baked. That was my fault. I picked Half Baked. Half Baked. Remember, it was my fault.
No worries.
I know. You asked me what I wanted to do, and I was like, for whatever reason, I threw out Half Baked. I said it.
Yeah, no worries. Hey, at least we're all together and we enjoyed it, and we hated it. Like at least we all hated it, and we talked about it, so that's fine.
Half Baked does not hold up, baby.
Yeah, I know. It's really bad.
Cyberneticshark, sir.
All right, guys. So getting back into the groove, just like Mr. Time Cop said, holidays, of course, slow things down a little bit. But as you can see here, my most recent reviews up there are, of course, my 28 years later trailer reaction. And then I put up my Kraven the Hunter movie review as well. Got that up there for you guys today. Just dropped. So I'll be having more stuff up for you guys soon. I'll be having Moana 2 review coming up soon. Some more trailer reactions. Also Gladiator 2, and several other films there. A Complete Unknown, Mufasa the Lion King, Sonic 3 will also be coming up eventually here. So keep an eyes out for that. See there, my four most recent there are some new movies I went and saw on the first. Sonic 3, Mufasa the Lion King, A Complete Unknown, and Gladiator 2. Got those finally watched from 2024. And let me tell you, I was really impressed by majority of those films. They all were pretty fun. And it'll be fun to see what you guys think about the reviews on those. So if you haven't had time to see those mini reviews, definitely check those out too as well. And definitely will be having some more shorts for you guys soon too as well. Have a Green Mile one up for you guys soon and stuff like that. So keep your eyes out for that. And hopefully 2025 will be a great year. Maybe get another 1,000 subscribers on the channel would be great. Moving up there, to the 2,000 mark would be awesome. And thank you to all the new subscribers, old subscribers. You guys are rocking it. And we're just going to keep pumping out stuff for you. I will be doing a live stream this year. Haven't decided when exactly, but I will be doing it on a newly entering the public domain film this year, because there's quite a few good ones that just dropped this year on the 1st. So be on the eyes for some of these great films and the live stream. So got to get that going strong for you guys too.
Most definitely. And we appreciate everybody that hopefully, came over and hung out with us a little bit, and checked out the live stream review tonight. We did the Green Mile. We're done. It was great. We had a good time. We had a good show. We appreciate everybody out there. God bless you. I hope, as I already said, I hope that, 2025 has started off good for you. We'll be back at it on Monday for What If episodes 3 and 4. We'll be having some guests on that are all old faces, people who have been with us before many times in the past. And besides that, we will see you later, folks. Peace.